In Chapter 8, we're going to talk about cellular reproduction, but we're going to start by looking kind of at the big picture. So, every multicellular organism, including ourselves, is going to begin life as a single cell. And then that single cell is going to undergo countless rounds of cellular division, where we're going to turn that one cell into trillions of cells that make up the complete organism. So, this process is called cellular reproduction, and it isn't just for early development. It keeps happening throughout our life as our bodies are going to grow, heal, and replace cells that get worn out or damaged. So there's two main types of cellular reproduction. You can either have asexual or sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, similar to binary fission, a single cell is going to make a copy of itself, but without needing sperm or egg. So that's very different from sexual reproduction, which does require the fusion of those specialized cells. Regardless of the type, all cells come from pre-existing cells, and that is the key part of the cell theory. So cellular reproduction is essential, not just for creating new cells, but also for being able to create new individuals. And this process is driven by two big steps. We have growth and cell division. First, the cells are going to grow by making copies of everything inside of it, including DNA and organelles. And then is going to come cell division, where you're going to split up everything and package it into two new daughter cells. And these steps are carefully regulated so that things don't go off track. If they do go off track or mistakes are made here, they can actually lead to serious problems like cancer. So a huge part of cell division is managing the cell's DNA, because that's where we're carrying the instructions for life. So before the cell can divide, it has to make a copy of its DNA in a process called DNA replication, so that both new daughter cells get a full set. The DNA is going to be organized into chromosomes, which are tightly packed structures that are made of DNA and proteins. And then we're going to pack the DNA into chromosomes, making it much easier to sort and divide evenly before we divide them into new cells. So when the cell isn't dividing, the DNA is in a looser form called chromatin, which looks like threads under a microscope. But right before division, the chromatin is going to condense into chromosomes, and this process is called chromosome compaction. So this is going to involve the DNA winding around proteins that are referred to as histones, and they're going to form these structures called nucleosomes. The nucleosomes coil up tightly to create a familiar X-shaped chromosome that you may have seen on a karyotype. So humans have 46 chromosomes in total, but they come in pairs. So we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, but 46 total chromosomes. So all of this happens as part of the cell cycle, which is really just a repeating series of stages a cell goes through from one division to the next. The cell cycle has two main parts. The first one would be interphase, and then the second one is M phase, or the mitotic phase. Interphase is when the cell is doing its everyday work, like growing and copying its DNA and getting ready to divide. It's subdivided into three subphases: G1, which is a growth phase, the S phase, which is for DNA synthesis, and then the G2 phase, which is going to be the final preparatory phase. Then comes the M phase, where the actual division is going to happen, and this is going to include mitosis and cytokinesis, which is going to give us two identical daughter cells. So again, I just want to reiterate that the two general phases are interphase and the mitotic phase, not mitosis, because the mitotic phase includes mitosis and cytokinesis.